welcome to War 4 of Season 25. This is 4 Loki versus Kenobi. There's a little bit of controversy around them because they have some mercs in their alliance. Like, they're very well-known mercs. They claim that they don't pilot, but it is what it is. So I don't really get into that on my channel too much just because, like, trying to prove something, it's probably not going to happen. So it's up to Kabam to determine that type of stuff. So that's where I'll leave that one. So going into this first fight, Path 5, so it's the knockdown protection thing. So you want to knock them down. Here I was going to just try to build up my smolders a little bit, but I forgot exactly which of his attacks are energy based. I think it's the medium. So after a little bit I was just like, whatever. It's a 5-star, so he's going to melt down pretty quick. And this is where I'm just trying to bait out the special. And overall, Strife's really, if you're using Torch, it's a super easy fight. Because he does have energy based attacks, it just takes away all the difficulty. And even without that, it's not that hard just to kind of wait out his phase timer. So I don't really think much of him as a defender. He's more of an attacker and not really in war, but for questing, really. I mean, maybe abyss fights. I haven't really looked into him that much. So going into this fight, I did screw up a little bit because in my mind I was thinking, okay, I put on the guidance and now I'm going to have the passive stun so I can just parry away and not worry about it. And it wasn't until after this that I went and talked about it, and he's like, yeah, dude, he's not metal or a hero, so he doesn't get the passive stun. And I was like, oh, well, that's a problem. Going into this fight, I just wasn't even worried about it. And then right there, I see the, it's not a passive, and I'm like, what just happened? I am confused now. Someone help! I need an adult. So, I right about here, I think I finally realized that this isn't going to work out because he's going to go debuff immune, and that's going to become a problem. What I should have been doing was throwing special ones the whole way, because that would have, counted as a knockdown. And I think I don't realize it or really start using it until after I use the special 3. I think so. Here's where I start evading the special 1, because I'm like, this fight might be a little bit longer than I was expecting, so I better quit messing around. So here I was, I took it to the block, and you're like, well, you just said you weren't going to do that. And I was like, well, I was trying to get a little bit more chip damage on me to get an extra heat charge before I threw the special 3. So at this point, I'm just like, yeah, this isn't really working too well. But, one thing I talked about with Syar, he's the BG officer of BG1, is before the last time I did this fight. And I was like, even if I run out of parries against this guy, I can just hit into his block and push him up to specials. And because you can't bait heavies, so that provides an opening. So I was like, if worse comes to worse, that's just what I can do. So here I'm just just evading the special 1, and I think after this I'll start throwing the special 1. So I'm learning. Normally whenever I use rulk, it's always been on hazard shift, so I haven't really had to worry too much about getting my heat charges up and maintaining them, or I'm up against a mystic, so it's not a big deal. So yeah, then I tried an intercept trying to get a little fancy, and you saw how that worked out. Yeah, that wasn't a great idea. So here, I just start throwing the special 1 after this, and you can see things will start going a lot faster. And it's what I should have been doing the whole time. But, not a big deal. I get through this fight. A little bit of damage from that, missed intercept, but it is what it is. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I go into my Masteries, and I drop Dex because I'm going to take this long shot on node 22, and it's got power snack on it. And The reason longshot's placed here is because it's kind of a double whammy. The power snack can consume your buff. Longshot can nullify a buff, and when either of those happen, it'll trigger Mystic Dispersion, which immediately will give him quite a lot of power, and it can get extremely sketchy fighting him. So I did go a little bit more than I really need to on the boost because this is the first time I've done it, and I did use the flame on this fight because it's what I was told to do. And one of the things I do whenever I use flame on is I always back out of the screen and then I go back in to make sure that the flame on was actually applied. I do that with any pre-fight really, just because we've got plenty of people that have said where the pre-fight does not apply, and it's like, what? So it's always best to be careful. But going into this fight, I probably should have parried at the start, to build up my temperature a little bit, but I wasn't really too worried about it. Obviously, I'm going to bait and block, special ones, or attempt to. And then here the backup recovery kicks in, and I was like, And he got to a special 2, but I'm not too worried yet. I'm like, all right, I just need him to throw it. I don't have Dex on, so I'm able to, bait out just fine. As you can see on the block, it doesn't do that much damage. Well, I think it's like 10%. So, and he's just going down real easy. I fight this fight again this next war, and I don't have flame on, and it's still a relatively easy fight. Going into I was back up in section 2, and then I got this node 49 dragonman again, and I've done this fight a lot of times, and I'd just done it last war, but I still wanted to be a little bit careful. The more comfortable I get with the fight, the more I'll reduce my boosts and reduce my overall expense on a fight. But so going into this one, I do use a special 1 boost, right? So I'm looking through this. Yeah, and here's where I'll throw on a special 1 boost. No invulnerability boost, but even if I did have them, I wouldn't use them for this fight. The special 1 boost it makes it easier for you to get to a special 3. So you can see there, I screwed up at the very start. I ate that heavy. Just missed input, just finger sticky, whatever. So I wasn't, it wasn't great, but I got out of it fine. So here, as I said, whenever you're cornered, he hits you when he can, or without you blocking, it'll do more damage, but into your block it won't do that much damage. And then here's where I messed up, and he's going to be unblockable for a little while now. So I throw the special 3, even though I prefer not to do this. I prefer to keep that in my back pocket, so if he gets to a special 3, then I can counter it. I think in one of my old videos, he throws a special 3, and then I had already thrown my special 3, and the fight got really squirrely. And in another one, I threw the special 3 after his SB3, and basically I was able to use that to get screen spacing and outlast the timer for his unblockable and unstoppable. So you can see, even with some mess ups, Rulk's just really good for that fight. We lost 1 death, whatever. I'm not going to get into it. I really don't want to. But overall, for this season, I'm really doing a lot better than I had expected. 17 kills, no deaths, so I'm still deathless. And then 21.88 power rating. And I've had, I don't include this stat on this screen, but it's on the 4 Loki sheet, and it's called the average difficulty rating, which factors how often we die to a fight, and then just like the nodes and the combos, and I don't know, you'd have to ask Taters. Like he's a whiz on it, and he's got this whole calculation, and My current average difficulty rating is like a 1.2, so it means it's a not super difficult, because that's 1.3 range. But it's not cupcakes where it's like 1.1 or sub. So everything's between, like, I think it's between 1 and like 1.5, with like the boss being a 1.5, and then it matters on what type of boss or opponent you're facing. So like Apocalypse would be a lot higher. So, overall, PR rank so far in the BG is 5th, and then overall in 4 Loki I'm up to 13th. So I'm doing really well. No complaints. Y'all have a good one.